gentlemen, we'll call the February 17th meeting of the Common Council to order. I will ask our clerk to call the roll to determine a quorum.
Alderperson Rote.
Here.
Vitale.
Here.
Weigel.
Here.
Barzak.
Here.
Chaplesky.
Here.
Haas.
Here.
Lysick.
Here.
May.
Here.
Probst.
Here.
Franke.
Here.
10 present, none excused.
We have a quorum. For our pledge this evening, Alderman Rote has generously yielded his time to Cub Scout Troop, or Scout Troop 580, sorry. I was on it. I know the blue from the beige. Yeah. I want to invite Matt Simrad up from the troop to lead the flag ceremony.
Please stand attention for the presentation of the colors. Scouts, attention. Color guard, attention. Color guard, advance. Hand salute. Color guard, halt. Will the audience please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Two. Color guard, please post the colors. Color guard dismissed. Audience may be seated.
We have 2 items for public hearing this evening. I'll ask the clerk to read public hearing number 1.
A hearing on the improvement of West Durham Avenue from South 90th Street to South Orleans Avenue by new concrete construction.
Mr. Daniels.
Thank you, Mayor Devine. Okay, this is the public hearing for West Durham Avenue. These are the procedures for tonight. First, I will discuss the project scope and cost. Then we'll go through assessment rates and methods of payment. And then we'll have comments and questions from the Common Council and any citizens affected. Then the public hearing will be closed and the project will be referred to the Public Works Committee. And then there will be a final decision by the full council later tonight. Here are the limits of Durham Avenue from 90th to Orleans. Very short street. Here's some pictures from Durham Avenue. We have very severe pavement deterioration. The subdivision was originally constructed in 1941 with a temporary seal coat type of pavement, which is really just gravel covered with tar. So this road that you're seeing here is about 74 years old. Here's some more pictures. I would point out that curb and gutter was never constructed to accommodate drainage on this street. And the subdivision was annexed into the city of West Allis from the rural town of Greenfield in 1954, but permanent concrete pavement was just never constructed. Due to the extremely narrow roadway out there, the city is proposing the installation of a new 20-foot wide concrete pavement, which would be about the same width as what's out there. So this would be very similar to an alley type of construction where we wouldn't actually put in curb and gutter. The drainage would be down the middle. As a result, residents would only be assessed for a 20-foot wide alley, which is $46.33 per foot, instead of the whole new street with a curb and gutter rate, which is $87 per foot. So it would be about half the cost for the residents. Constructing a 20-foot wide alley type of pavement without curb and gutter would cut the costs, special assessment costs for residents by 47%, and it would cut the costs for the city too from about $285 per foot down to about $100 a foot. So 65% savings. As a result, the pavement would only cost about $30,000. We would do street lighting. I believe there's only one light on the street. Storm sewer, $20,000. So the total cost of the project would only be $52,000. There would be some sustainability benefits when we do this work. The gravel used would be 100% recycled crushed concrete from old pavements. We'd use recycled fly ash from coal electric plants in the concrete to reduce mining new cement by 30%. New asphalt would be made from 20 to 35% old recycled asphalt pavements. And the one light on the street would be a new LED street light, which would reduce electricity by about 66%. As far as special assessments, for over 100 years, city residents have historically paid the full cost of the new street in front of their property in order to enjoy the unique benefit that this improvement gives their individual property. But the property owners on Durham have never paid for Durham Avenue in the 74 years since the subdivision was built. On this particular project, the city would collect $11,000 in special assessments, which is about 37% of that $30,000 paving cost that I mentioned. The assessment rate for a 20-foot alley is $46.33 per foot for all residential properties anywhere in the city, no matter how high the traffic volumes or how high the actual bid price is. So everyone is treated equally when we assess that $46 rate. Now, a little bit more about special assessments. Special assessments are the only way to ensure that tax-exempt schools and churches and charities and hospitals and county parks and utilities and railroads pay their fair share too. No one is exempt from special assessments, even though 430 properties in the city do not pay any property taxes. And many of these are tax-exempt schools, churches, hospitals, and county parks that are very large properties and only contribute to the city's costs through special assessments. Businesses and corporations do pay a higher rate, but there aren't any on Durham Avenue. Almost all the residents in West Dallas have paid their fair share for their street and alley at least once. Many people have paid twice, and in many cases on the east side, they've had to pay 3 times for their property's street. But as I said, the property owners on Durham have never paid for their street in the 74 years since the subdivision was built, although they did pay for sidewalk repair and they did pay for 90th Street and Orleans Avenue on the corner lots. But most West Dallas residents have paid for their street or alley even in the last 10 years. As you see, this is a map of everyone who's paid a special assessment in the last 10 years, so it's darn near almost everyone, at least on the east side of the city. Since these properties are all corner properties on this particular job, I just want to point out that 3 of these corner properties on Durham have previously paid for the short side of their property on 90th or on Orleans in either 2003 or 2009. That is not actually a very rare occurrence because there are 10,000 parcels out of the 19,000 parcels in the city that do pay for more than one side of their property, so that's the majority of people do. 3,400 of those parcels do pay for more than one street, so that's 17% of the people. And there's about 7,400 parcels out of the 19,000 that do pay for their street and their alley, which is about 38%. So the overwhelming majority of the people do pay for more than one side of their property, so that's not not unusual. So here's a sample special assessment for the long side of your lot, assuming it's about 150. They're all a little bit different. We take the 20-foot alley assessment rate, which is $46.33 per foot. So that would have given you a grand total of $6,900, but then we take 60% off the long side. So that's a subtraction of $4,169, leaving the homeowner with the cost of $2,779. So that discount is on the longer side of your property. The bills will not be mailed out until March of 2016. There are payment options at that point, which include lump sum payment, 5-year installment plan, or a 10-year installment plan. Over a 10-year period, assuming 4% interest, the special assessments would range from $389 in the first year, 2016, to $289 in the 10th year, 2025. And here's a little explanation about the interest rate. The city does borrow the funds for this project, so the city has to pay interest to the municipal bondholders over the next 10 years. So the city does pass along those interest charges to the residents that choose a 5 or 10-year payment plan. The city does not make a profit off that interest. And at this point, if there's any comments or questions, they can be heard.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Are there any questions on this item? Seeing none, are there any questions or comments from members of the audience on this item? Okay, seeing none, we will close our first public hearing, and I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 2.
A hearing on an ordinance to amend sections 12.06, 12.40, 12.41, 12.42, and 12.43 of the revised municipal code relative to defining and permitting animal-related uses, including animal grooming, pet shops, kennels, and veterinary clinics for the holding and care of animal uses.
Mr. Stiebel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This public hearing is about a pesky problem, the pun was intended, about animals and how they were raised and harbored in the city. The purpose of the ordinance amendment tonight is to define some of the issues that we have before us that are not specifically delineated, such as pet shops, animal grooming, kennels, and veterinary clinics, and then to clarify those conditions. One of the problems that we don't have is we have pet shops listed in the ordinance, but we didn't define what it is and what they can be. And while we're doing that, we want to do also, we're going to prohibit animals in our zoning ordinance that the license and health will be taken up this evening, talking about dangerous and prohibited animals in the city. And then also, we're going to be dealing with some places have raised rats and mice to feed to their animals in their pet stores, and we're prohibiting that animals of reproduction of any case in any size. And so we're also defining what animal grooming is, that they'll be not be kept in overnight, and again, the last two things that I just mentioned. The basic difference is going to be in the pet shops. It'll be permitted in all the uses that it used to, but we'll allow it in the downtown area as a special use. Animal grooming is going to be a new category that we never had. We just kind of rolled it in with pet ordinances and allow it as a special use in the downtown area and is permitted in the rest of the areas. A veterinary clinic, again, will be allowed throughout the city, and now, as an addition, will be allowed in the downtown area as a special use. And kennels currently are allowed in C3 and C4 and M1. And the C4 and the M1 are heavily traveled corridors and heavy industrial areas, and we're going to be taking them out of the C3 district, which has a high preponderance of residential properties in the area. We had a new intern today come to work, and I had the staff explain the ordinance to him, and he put this chart together. I think it does it really well, and I just wanted to show that of all the changes in there. They're fairly simple, particularly when you see them laid out like this. The Plan Commission has reviewed this, has recommended approval, and we've received no objections to date. And the Chapter 7.12 that we refer to in this ordinance will be subject to approval of the License and Health and Open. If you have any additional questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Stiebel. Are there questions or comments from the Common Council? Seeing none, are there questions or comments from members of the audience? If there are, I ask that you come up to the microphone and give us your name and address for our record, and please sign in either before or after your comments.
Thank you, Mayor Devine. I've already signed in. My name is Linda Gatton. I live at 2469 South 80th Street. My husband Gary and I have been residents of the city of West Dallas for over 35 years, and we have also been the block captains on our block for over 20 years. I would like to thank my two alderpersons, Weigel and Probst, for initiating this ordinance, the changes in it. I would like to say that I have always been very concerned about the breeding of animals here in the confines of the city. Those who are familiar with underground puppy mills and underground breeding facilities will note that it is often a case where they are not registered, not licensed by the state or licensed by the municipality. There are many people that are considered backyard breeders, considered puppy millers, that have breeding facilities hidden in their garages, hidden in their houses, hidden in their basements. I don't know what the city does at this point to try and regulate that. That is a concern of mine. There is a law, state law, Act 90, that requires the licensing of anybody who breeds dogs in excess of 25 dogs or 3 litters per year. Unfortunately, some of those are underground, and I'm hoping that the city will do all in its power to prevent that from happening in our city. I am also concerned about adding any space in the city of West Dallas for pet stores. It is well known by statistics gathered by the Humane Society of the United States, the ASPCA, and others that over 95% of the animals that are sold in pet stores come from puppy mills, and I am very much against the selling of puppy mill animals in the city, mainly due to the fact that most of them are ill-bred, bring zoonotic diseases into the area. The selling of animals within the city confines will also increase, perhaps. I'm not going to say that it definitely will, but there is a chance it will increase the numbers of animals that are brought to Matic, which costs the city in excess of $122,000, according to the budget from Matic for 2015. So I hope that these suggestions will be taken into consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to address the council? I'm sorry, questions or comments?
Hi, my name is Mary Thomas. I live at 1214 South 123rd, and I've lived here most of my life since 1950, so that's quite a while. I support the ordinance you've introduced. I would like to, actually, I'm touching on a few things Linda mentioned pertaining to the pet store section of the ordinance. I'd like to voice my concern regarding pet stores in this community. As you may know, or not know, puppy mills are the main source for dogs sold in pet stores, as she mentioned, 95%. And a puppy mill is a horrific place for these innocent animals to live out their lives. Around the country, progressive communities are seeing the benefit of having pet stores change to a model of selling shelter puppies. Hopefully, the West Dallas Common Council in the near future could look into this issue of the pet store puppy mill connection and consider the possibility that West Dallas could legislate changes to benefit the animals that many of us call our companions. That's it. And I do have a list, if anyone's interested, of 60 communities around the country that have changed their pet store. They banned pet sales in the pet stores. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that has questions or comments on public hearing number 2? Okay, seeing none, we will close our second public hearing. We will move on to item E on your agendas, which is citizen participation. This is an opportunity for residents to address the council on matters of interest to them. We ask that you attempt to keep your comments to approximately 5 minutes. Is there anybody who wishes to address the council under citizen participation this evening? Okay, seeing none, we will close citizen participation. We will move on to item F on your agendas. Our standing committees will be meeting during recess. Those room numbers are listed on page 1 on your agendas. I have a couple items under the mayor's report this evening. I want to once again remind everybody that the West Dallas Crime Stoppers is having a bowl-a-thon fundraiser on Sunday, March 8th. It is going to be at Serb Hall, and there will be prizes, lots of activities. There are 3 bowling sessions. It is $15 per bowler or $75 per team. Lunch will be catered by Rupina's. If you are interested, you can call Community Services at the Police Department at 302-8053. They do have a deadline Monday, March 2nd for signing up for that. I want to thank the West Dallas Women's Club for allowing us to serve them, and them I mean including Alderpersons Reinke and Probst, lunch at their annual, it used to be Queen for a Day, now I think we just pamper them a little bit. Alderman Lysak, Rote, and Vitale were there, and we had a good time. We got a chance to thank them for all that they do for the community year-round, and just thanks for the opportunity to participate in that. I was asked to mention that the Friends of La Follette Park is going to be having a benefit for West Allis area food pantries on the 28th of February. From 4 o'clock until 7 o'clock, they're having their Empty Bowls event. It is $5 for soup donated by restaurants around the community. It is enough soup for a meal, and it is going to be at the Pavilion at 94th and Washington. They ask that you bring a non-perishable food item to donate to the local pantries, and there are also going to be ceramic bowls that are available for sale. They do have commitments from Filippo's, Senior Soul, the State Fair Inn, and the West Allis Cheese and Sausage Shop at the time they printed their flyer, but I'm sure that they have many more. And lastly, I just want to take a minute to acknowledge that today was the one-year anniversary where we all found out that the city of West Allis and specifically the police department lost one of the members of its family. Detective Stacy Napoli passed away shortly after giving birth to twins. There was a very nice ceremony at the police department this morning at 10 o'clock, and I'm just bringing this up because one theme that has been echoed from the get-go on this is that while Stacy is gone, she will never be forgotten. The twins, Parker and Ellie, were both there today. They are doing well, and I just ask that you keep them and the family and the police department and all of us in your thoughts at this time. That concludes the mayor's report this evening. Do we have any alderpersons' reports?
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Weigel?
I wanted to welcome a new business to downtown West Allis. They just opened up in the last week, Aggie's Bakery. Although they're really known for their specialty cakes, they're doing a full line of baked goods there. I can report in the absolute affirmative that the elephant ears and apple fritters are delicious. I did also this morning, it's Fat Tuesday, I bought a dozen punchkis to come and share with the rest of the council, but somehow the dozen punchkis didn't last all day. But those are delicious too. So they're in the 7300 block of Greenfield Avenue, just like a block and a half away from here on the north side of the street. They're a real welcome addition to the downtown. They are, I believe, open every day. They do coffee. They do hot ham and rolls on Sundays. As I said, they're a real welcome addition. Aggie's Bakery. Welcome to West Allis downtown.
Thank you, Alderman Weigel. Any other reports from the alderpersons?
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick?
I move for approval of the minutes of the Common Council regular meeting of February 3rd, 2015.
Second.
There's a motion with a second by Alderman Reinke. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item J on your agendas, I'll ask for a motion to place item 4 on file and refer items 5 and 6 to the city attorney.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Probst, second by Alderman May. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item K, standing committee reports, we have none.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move that we stand in recess until conclusion of the committee meetings.
Second.
There's a motion with a second by Alderman Vitale. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are in recess.